mean, my internet didn't work there.
There
We
we
are
go.
live.
Now we are live.
AJ was just telling me how bad my connection was, so
it's good
that's
now.
the delay. Yeah, we good?
Yeah, it's good now. You've gone from 1080p to 4K. Well, actually, you were more like 10 or slower than 720p, 500p, 480p.
Mad.
3 people, welcome. Hey, Mariana, welcome back.
I did the classic mistake of having the YouTube stream up at the same time, and then it spun my head out.
Oh yeah, you don't want to do that.
Hey, chat, whose hat's better? My Elite Hacker hat, Hacksaw, or AJ's OG empirical logo?
Yeah.
People have been around with us for longest. That was what we started with.
Do people know what Elite is anymore? I don't really see it being used that often.
Are you calling me old, Vaughan?
I am calling you old, Josh.
Vaughan is the youngest, despite having one of the best facial hairs.
I don't actually know what that hat is. Are you able to explain it?
I got this at InfoSec Europe. They were printing them. There was one that said like "Go fishing" as well, which is quite cool. But I always Leeds Hacksaw. Who's the vendor? Oh, Veronis. There you are. So they do the data security stuff.
It's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Free swag.
Yeah, can't beat some.
Yeah, look, I am the wiener. I am the wiener.
The wiener.
I am the wiener.
Look at this. Look at this. But they look like Pharrell.
Yeah, Beavis and Butthead.
Oh yeah,
Beavis.
The Pharrell hat.
Yeah,
this is a one of one. We are looking to bring some merch to the community whenever school decide to drop it. But yeah, this was just a test, and I just bought it. But it actually came out okay. I like the embroidery.
Yeah, it looks right. To be fair,
he wears it all the time.
I do wear it all the time, yeah.
You got to represent, right?
Yeah, I probably should have said wrote empirical training on it because now it's just not very much advertisement.
Looks like you're in an owl round.
Yeah, I just like owls.
Just really into bird watching.
And now it doesn't really advertise because we've changed our logo.
I could never get away with a hat. My ears are way too big. I put it on, it just looks like I'm wearing like I don't know, something crazy.
Here's a fun fact. I have the tiniest ears going, but you would notice.
Ah, shit.
Yeah, tiny.
Almost can't see him, Josh.
I'll give you a point of reference.
That
much of a pen.
That's like a ginormous pen or something.
I don't have an actual ruler. I could tell. No,
Get a centimeterage.
Yeah. There must be a ruler there somewhere. I was over your house on Wednesday last week. He's got a lot of shit on his desk.
I do, yeah. It's because this is my room, so anything that my partner doesn't identify as hers, he just plonks on my desk, and I don't really sort it out that often. But let's see, what have I got today? Welsh version of The Hobbit.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
The Hobbit.
Novation Launchpad. Do you remember these?
I remember you making the beats.
Yeah, but I've never used it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I remember you buying it, but I don't think it's just been a paperweight.
I bought this when I was like 17, and I've just clinged onto it, thinking one day I'll use it for something. I even thought we'd do this, like getting a soundboard for like wah, wah, or like
for the pod, like
what else do you want, AJ? I got an axe in the corner.
Oh yeah, I saw the axe.
One of these on your desk you need.
I do want one of those somewhere.
There you go. I measure you with that.
It's a great shout. Oh, but it's too much. Oh, a stubby holder. Sorry, guys. If you want to ask us questions, you can. But we're just doing this.
Yeah, just pissed
this is to keep my cans cool.
Oh, nice. What's on it? Like a.
Apparently, I bought this on Australia. Apparently, that's an Australian film. This like guy who lives in the outback, and the film ends with him in a suit of armor and a shotgun, like taking on all the police.
What's in that?
And then I've got a million sunglasses.
Oh yeah, the sunglasses dealer.
This was guys, I woke up with a headache this morning, and so I was doing my work genuinely until 1 o'clock. I was like this at my desk. It helped a little bit.
And you have to say that that's just how hackers work every day, right?
This is what they imagine that in the sock tour when we used to have those sock tours.
Everyone just in
stock going around handing out sunglasses to make us look more like.
You think it's legit though? I remember when we worked in that company and they closed all the blinds when people came around, when customers came around. It was like they can't surely think we're working in that SOC 8 hours a day with the blinds closed, even though some people did want to.
We'll have to do this.
Oh my God, Josh, you're a SOC analyst now.
Whoa! No, he's a
hacker.
hang on.
I'm in.
I'm in. I've had the new keyboard for a couple of days, boys. The ergonomic one.
Oh,
that looks awful.
Honestly, I love it. It's class. Like I used to have this.
Talk about this then.
Kind of like that, almost. Like the other one, I was a bit like this. Like,
I can see my hands do kind of push out. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to like twist my wrists almost to type on it. But
what's that? No carpal tunnel syndrome now, is it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Who's the old man? Who's the old man?
I know my mum actually had the operation for that.
Really? What do I have done for it?
They snipped the something here. So you have to get like something cut there, so it stops the pain.
Sure.
There's actually a question.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult this part to get around, but I'm getting it.
You get used to it.
Chuck us the rest of this question. I think you either DQ'd or something, or
present the rest of
DNF. Like
we're eagerly anticipating it, and then we got, as you can see, the title. I've really planned out this pod today. Look at the top of the screen, boys. Those are our topics.
US APT spying on China and FortiWeb emerging threat. Nice.
Yeah, we haven't got Rob, so we need who's going to do the Donald Trump accent today.
Yeah, I don't have the ability to do that. I don't have the means.
Yeah, I'm not going to embarrass myself. I was practicing a bit last night. I had a long drive, so I was doing some Donald
He's
Trump.
practicing your Donald Trump accent.
His voice is fascinating. I kind of got the cadence, and I realized I added another element, which is kind of like make me talk like you're an idiot was the kind of the next bit, and I think I was getting closer. But I think what I'm actually doing is that Seth Gillis. I think my impression is an impression of his Donald Trump impression.
Okay, an impression of an impression.
Exactly. So it's a bit removed. I think, yeah. Not as good as Robbie's.
Yeah, Robbie's good at accents, to be fair.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a good question. And this kind of so this is part we're going to talk about in the pod. We can jump ahead to it now, absolutely. So do you reckon the four behind the coop co-op hack were brought in or working alone? So I think this is kind of the trope that you always see when people get arrested. They're always like 17 to 20-year-olds. Like Lapsus is always the one that sticks out in my mind, a bunch of teenagers. And I think there are two schools of thoughts. There's like, are these the fall guys? Are they like part of a bigger group? And it's kind of like, hey, they're the newer ones. Let's pin everything on them. Maybe even the hack group tunnel through their networks to like pin everything on them and kind of do liability. The other side is actually like sometimes it's the younger people who are absolutely brilliant at cybersecurity, but are kind of messing about a lot more. They can't get a cybersecurity job. They haven't got a good positive outlet for it. So they end up being hackers, not necessarily just because they can, I think, partly. And then they realize, oh, we've got access to something. We should monetize it or even sell it off as initial access brokers to those ransomware scumbags.
Yeah, because I do notice, obviously, a lot of these hacker groups their breathing ground is on Telegram. And like I don't feel like there's always as well. The initiation or the interview is kind of how good you are at potentially hacking. And a lot of these like younger people probably just get into it because they love it. But then sometimes their OPSEC is not always that good. And they don't always think about that. So they can get involved in a particular breach or a hack. And then they're probably easier to trace back to if they're doing it in their mother's basement, for example.
Yeah.
When I listen to Darknet Diaries, I find that is often one way that they get caught quite easily. But yeah, I wouldn't have thought that they were working alone. There usually is a group. But yeah, the four guy would be interesting.
Yeah. What about the element of being brought in? So like they were like, almost hired to do that by Scattered Spider? Is that what you mean, Howard? Or interesting. You'll have to elaborate now on for us.
So the question is finished. So where was the start of the question? So here's a CEO of an IT company who claimed that computers will be self-coding within 12 months. How will that change blue team operations?
Go on, Josh. You got us one in the bag.
I'm Googling self-coding computers. What does that mean?
I assume what he's saying is, I think the CEO he's referring to is, I think it was Workday, or it was one of those. Was it Workday? There was another. It was either Workday or somebody else, and they mentioned that they're not going to hire any more developers, and all the future code would now be written with AI.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few ChatGPT resources I've seen over the past couple of months. Well, one is Codex. I don't know if you guys have seen Codex.
No.
There's a ChatGPT integration directly into GitHub, and you can have ChatGPT do push and pull requests to your GitHub repos, which is pretty interesting. Josh will have to have a look at that one. I bet there's some interesting attack service for that. And then there was another one about what's that?
You could poison the code watering hole, so to speak, because anyone can upload GitHub stuff.
Yeah, right? And if you've given it the permissions to push, like to like a prod DB or something.
It was Salesforce, not Workday.
Okay.
They mentioned that due to artificial intelligence, they will not be hiring any more engineers in 2025.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe they'll do that in 2025. Realize that it didn't work, and then 2026 they might hire them again.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about how you can do in practicality. Obviously, that Codex is an element. There's another one, the ChatGPT. I saw a different company demo. I can't remember what it was called. It wasn't called Playground. It was something where you like give ChatGPT access to your screen as if it's like a share screen, and it can actually go and do stuff and like make clicks and type stuff in. I don't know if you guys have come across that or seen that.
No, it reminds me of the snapshot for Copilot, where it would like save instances of your machine. Like basically has the access to see everything that's on there.
It's pretty much that, but you can give it like mouse and keyboard functionality as well.
Okay, yeah.
So you can pretty much just say to it, I need you to do this, and it can go bang, 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 bang. It's analyzing the screen, it's doing stuff. So maybe that could be part of their portion together. Who knows? But I guess the point is we've already got the building blocks to kind of start doing that already, or at least entertain it.
Yeah,
it's Cursor's the other one, isn't it? That is really popular. I don't know if
is that a ChatGPT one.
No, that's completely separate. I think it's like, unless it is powered by ChatGPT, to be fair, but it's basically you using AI to, it's a code editor, but it uses AI to kind of prompt you, I think, to when you're writing your own code.
So here's my take on this. Then I think I've found enough. Yeah, it's just removing the person further away, right? Because somebody is coding the AIs. We're not to that kind of general AI where it can start programming itself and making its own decisions. So there's still a framework that it's kind of instructed upon. It's like, here's what you need to do, and here's the kind of parameters to operate in. So what, are they going to start writing their own patches? Is that what we're saying? Or are you're going to start saying, hey, what is the use case for coding itself? I don't really understand, to be honest. Like, is it
I was having just to slightly keep us on topic, but slightly take us off. I was having a really interesting conversation with one of my automation engineers last week around kind of self-healing and self-development of AI itself. So in something like a Logic app, for example, which is a workflow automation tool, you can have like ChatGPT in there and get it to write code. So what if you had ChatGPT write code for its own kind of instance? Because you could have
Josh, that general AI. Is that
you'll know this, Josh. Like, it's typical IAC, and anyone in chat who's familiar with infrastructure as code. If you have the Logic app as infrastructure as code, and then you get the ChatGPT to update the file where its own configuration of the infrastructure as code is. We had an interesting thought experiment about setting that up and just leaving it and letting it run. And like, what would it do? Like, do you have to give it an objective, or would it start trying to do something? And it's something you can absolutely test out and give a try. I'd probably put some sort of cap on it if you was going to test it out.
There's the age-old joke, isn't there? Like, you tell an AI to debug something, so it just deletes all the code because there's no bugs. So like, what's the fail safe for that type of thing? And also, I think a lot of these kind of CEOs who talk about the destinations of AIs, they're kind of overlooking the reality that people need a throat to choke when things go wrong. They need accountability. They need to be able to pin it on somebody. And if you over AI, like, who is that throat to choke then? Is it become open AI that you kind of go to? Because they're going to say, hey, not us. Like, you should look at the terms and conditions. You're not supposed to use it for that. Or if you do, it's at your own discrimination. And then who's it become the security leader who decided to use that or whatever? It's it just, when things go wrong, what's the AI going to do? It's going to say, I am only operating as you told me to. This is what you asked me to do, type of thing. It won't have that kind of oh yeah, I realize I made a mistake, or it will just blindly agree with you every time. So it's confusing.
Have we come across the paperclip problem in AI, Josh?
Go on.
I'll butcher this story, but have a look into it when you get 2 minutes and like read the full story. But pretty much, it's kind of a story and a problem about AI where it says, right, you're an AI and your job is to make paperclips. That's your only job. Make as many paperclips as possible. And it goes through like a sequence of events and of how this AI ultimately ends up kind of destroying the world. Because like it's kind of what you're saying, right? That the path it goes down, its only objective is to make paperclips. So, you know, it needs to buy this material or destroy this factory or take over this factory to get deliveries out quicker. And like, I again, that's what I mean. I butcher the story, but it's pretty much saying like, if you give it untethered access, it will ultimately end up destroying the world, which is kind of the main problem from it, which I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah, the reward systems. What if you set it to do something? It might do it in a way that you don't expect, which is also what we kind of want. But then, those are the kind of cautionary tales of, you know, be wary that might have implications elsewhere. And if a computer can code itself, you know, what's to stop an attacker exploiting the AI to then code its way, it code a backdoor in, or, you know, it's fileless malware 3.0 is kind of what I'm thinking now. Use the AI. If the AI has that level of access where it can code itself, code the system itself, then it's ripe to be taken over and behave in the way the attacker wants to. In the same way we saw PowerShell, right? PowerShell can essentially code itself because you can download updates. You can run a PowerShell script that changes all the configurations on it. So I think in AI, we like to get a bit abstract, but actually, what are we really talking about? We're just talking on a kind of evolution of what we already were doing with tools like PowerShell and scripting.
Yeah, I love the idea of like self-updating AI code as well. Like it could be taken as something scary, but I find it so fascinating. It's kind of like as you was talking about that then, Josh, I thought you was going to mention like it's almost like polymorphic malware where it can kind of rebuild itself and change its own code to bypass detections. Like I think the first introduction of that is going to be unbelievable and super interesting from a defender perspective.
Yeah, we've already seen those polymorphic things, and I mean the pyramid of pain got a little bit less painful when AI came along, because some of those TTPs, or sorry, not TTPs because that's the top one, but some of those artifacts in the pyramid of pain are even more easy to regenerate now or recycle. So yeah, well, should we get into podcast? There is 20 past, and we might.
Yeah, go on. I was going to say we definitely answered that question.
Good question. So thank you for the question. So we're going to do a little bit of podcast now, and we'll answer any questions at the end if we'll normally stay on if we haven't got time. You can ask us questions while we're doing the pod, but we will ignore them if they're not relevant until later. But we love questions that are relevant or on track. And if you preempt where we're going, which a lot of you clever people do these days, that just sets us up for success.
It's also in the title, so if you need a hand, it's there too.
Yeah, if you can start researching, maybe we should do that more often. Send out research packs to our audience. Yeah.
Great idea.
They can participate a bit more.
Yeah.
Maybe we should. Sorry.
As I say, maybe in like the announcement in school or something, we say these are going to be our topics for today. If you want to take a read or something.
Yeah, we could do text to speech things as well, so people can participate. Like make it maybe 1 pence. Actually, no, then people will spam us.
Take us off route on the podcast a little bit.
But yeah, that'd be quite funny. Okay. Howard, off the dome is not doming today, but let's go. I'm gonna have a little bit of enthusiasm. Yeah. Hello and welcome back. No, I'm not gonna do that.
Get it all creepy like.
Yeah. Like a late night radio DJ. In fact, if I turn on my bass up, that's Pan. I always thought he kind of sounded a little bit more like a late night radio host.
Barry White, that isn't.
Anyway. Is my audio good? Because I've gone to edit the pod and I've been redlining the entire time.
No, you sound good.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, good. Because you can't edit that in posts. Unfortunately, there's one episode where I feel sorry for the people who listen to the whole thing. I wouldn't. I know.
Maybe they didn't.
Maybe they didn't. Yeah. Hello and welcome back to the CyberSpace podcast by Empirical Training. My name's Josh, one member of Empirical Training, and I'm joined by AJ, Incident Response Specialist, and Vaughan, Automation and AI Security Specialist, SOC Leader, SOC Legend.
Cypress.
Yeah, AJ, almost a SOC Legend, maybe a SOC demigod. Is that higher than Legend? I'm not sure.
Depends on who you ask. And Josh, yeah.
Security strategist, former SOC analyst, and host of this podcast. That's the ultimate title for me. So today we're going to go into an update on the Marks and Spencer's breach. Those of you who are regular listeners to the pod will have heard us talk about this one in great depth. We talked about it at the very beginning where we speculated what had happened. We still don't have all the details, and I wonder if we ever will, but we do have a little bit more and some new questions to ask the group and new details to share and implications for the broader threat landscape and what businesses do when they get compromised. Then we're also going to look at a US APT spying and hacking a Chinese company using an exchange exploit. I think this one's really interesting because we often see in the media East attacking West, where that's Russia and China, and we don't see the other way around. And it's not because it doesn't happen, guys. There's a different reason for that. We'll maybe get into that in a second. I won't spoil the topic. And finally, we'll look at the FortiWeb emerging threat, which has sent people into a little bit of a panic because, hey, turns out there's an SQL invulnerability within a WAF product or a WAF component itself. So the thing that was meant to stop the exploits becomes exploitable. What's that Batman phrase, boys? You remember? You either die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. All right, Vaughan, which one first? Your choice, dealer's choice.
Let's do the M&S update.
Okay, chronological order.
In order, yeah.
So let's do a little rundown for people who might not be knowing about this, but I think it was over. Let me pull it up. It was over earlier on in the year. We heard that the Scattered Spider threat actor group had compromised Marks and Spencer's, as well as the Co-op, as well as a few other targets, including an attempt on Harrods. So a bit of a profile there, going after retail organizations. But Marks and Spencer's seems to be the front runner, the one that we really talk about because they're often the one in the news and the one we're going to focus on. But they deployed Dragon Force ransomware, stole 150 gigabytes worth of data, allegedly not payment data, but personal identifiable information, which has resulted in 700 million dropping off Marks and Spencer's share price, and routers estimating about, I think it was 30 to 50 million pounds a day in costs as the breach was ongoing. And this breach has been ongoing for quite a while. Anything else that's worth adding to the history of this case before we get into the new stuff, AJ or Vaughan?
I was just going to say, yeah, it dates back to April 2025, and they're saying it was related to a sophisticated social engineering attack. And possibly, I think it's been confirmed now that it was through a third party, so a supply chain compromise. But other than that, I think we're up to date.
Mm-hmm. So that's a great place to jump off, AJ, because we did talk about the third party being implicated in probably our second update on this. We didn't know what, and we speculated it was a supply chain compromise because they were it was Tata Consultancy Services that do some remote management, IT management. They kind of help you lift and shift environments or optimize, modernize them, help you manage them basically. So they've got access in. We thought it was that. Turns out we've got more information about that. And you alluded there, the social engineering, right? So Vaughan, question for you. They socially engineered the Tata Consultancy Services support desk by saying, hey, I'm an employee of M&S. Please, could you reset my password? And it was more elaborate than that. They really convinced them and they posed as this individual employee, then basically got credentials to log in. Is that a supply chain compromise? It's a big sigh if you can't hear that on the.
I'm dwelling on this one.
AJ thinks it is.
Yeah, is it part of your supply chain? Technically, yes, if they're providing a service for M&S. However, in my mind, I see supply chain compromises more as like I don't know, program updates or like software deploying, like injecting some malicious code into a piece of software that then gets deployed. That's the way I see supply chain compromises. But I guess technically it is a supply chain compromise because they're associated. M&S are associated with TCS, and they're the ones that got breached, ultimately given access into their environment.
Yeah, maybe third-party compromise is the better.
I
for it. Usually I see what you're saying. Like with supply chain compromise, there's more of something in the middle, which here is kind of
like something's being passed between the two. Essentially, is how I would see it.
But yeah, definitely a third-party compromise that I would call this, and could lean into supply chain compromise as well. But yeah, like you said, it's a sophisticated phishing attack, but ultimately they
social engineering
attack. Yeah, they did just phone them up and ask for their passwords, which is a crazy human error. But again, that's how a lot of these attacks will always start.
And the slogan is attackers, they don't break in, or hackers don't hack in, they log in. And this is a good example. They've managed to get credentials to use a legitimate key to open up and walk right in, which is always easier than smashing a window. I think, Vaughan, you're being too nice to AJ there, and AJ, you kind of also were nice back. But I'm going to say, this isn't a supply chain compromise, because I think the definition of supply chain is using a trusted delivery mechanism to pass on compromise from one source onto another. I've had to pause there because as I've said that, I was like, have I set myself up for failure?
Because
you just explained the attack.
Yeah, I know. It's so much variation in it, right? And it's really up to interpretation. Like who's the ultimate authority that says yes or no?
Yeah, we are. But I mean, let's table that one there. Maybe we can revisit this. But yeah, so we now know the initial entry vector. We don't have to speculate anymore. It's a social engineering attack. They got the credentials in. What begs the question is this the same angle that was used for like Co-op and Harrods, who, by the way, identified it very early and disrupted and contained it before a real breach occurred. Co-op not so lucky, but I don't know the details on them at the moment. Question for you though, gents, is so we know that ransomware actors employ a double extortion tactic, right? So where they encrypt the devices and say, give us some money and we'll give you the key. They also steal data and they say, give us some money and we'll give you the data back / not release it on the dark web or publish it somewhere. We haven't seen that data published yet. And when the M&S exec was asked, did you pay the ransom? He basically said, I don't think it's in the public interest to answer that. What does that make you think?
I mean, is that owning up to it without owning up to it? That's reading between the lines a little bit. Like, surely if they were dead against paying the ransom, they'd be like, no, absolutely not. Like, I'm putting a hard foot in the ground here. Like, we absolutely didn't pay it. But it's leaving a lot up to interpretation there without, like, it's almost admitting fault without admitting it.
And he did say before that, he said that they took an early decision that nobody at M&S would deal with the threat actors directly. We felt the right thing would be to leave this to professionals, i.e. ransomware negotiators who have experience in the matter. So a little bit of passing the buck, but I agree with you. I think the fact that they're not saying, the fact that we haven't seen the data leaked suggests that their ransom was paid or that they're still in negotiations with them.
That'd be interesting.
So yeah. But
do they have?
I think one thing. That? What if you get pay a ransom?
Yeah, does it have to be at some point disclosed if they did pay it? Or I guess that's not required.
Yeah, we do. There's no requirements around that. We do have things like the responsible disclosure framework that kind of suggests how you should talk about a compromise. But no, I don't think so. And in fact, this year, the stance of a lot of the kind of alphabet cybersecurity boys like the NSCA and all those changed their stance from you shouldn't pay the ransom to you should try your hardest not to pay the ransom. So they're kind of recognizing that in some situations, I do wonder if hospitals are really what triggered this, because like it's a tricky thing to say, no, don't pay it, and then people start dying. But yeah, I think it just recognizes that maybe it's a bit more complicated than us being like, don't pay the ransom, you're just paying to make the problem worse for everyone else.
I guess we'll see. There are publicly traded companies, so I think their financial records should come out at some point. You might be able to see it in there. I don't know how detailed they often are, but
do you know how much it was?
How much the ransom was?
Ransom was, yeah.
No, well, we know how much money they're losing. So, like we literally said, routers have estimated at about 20 to 50 million a day went during the breach, and we know the 7 million share price that went down. So, like, you could infer that there might, hey, you're costing this much money. How about we save it for you? It's the business logic kind of argument. But yeah, I don't think, and AJ, I think to your point, we probably wouldn't know if exactly if it went to the ransom, but we probably will see a payment to that negotiator or like a DFIR team or whatever, which they well could have paid it. So I don't think we'll ever know. But
that's just how it is. Yeah,
that's just how it is. So moving on to I think we often talk here about we like the juiciest stories, and often when we talk about like nation states cyber espionage, that's some good stories. So we often talk about Russian state sponsored actors or linked actors and Chinese linked state sponsored actors. We have rarely talked about like US or Britain state sponsored actors, which I think I probably blew the answer to this at the beginning, but it's not because they don't exist, right? Why do you think we just don't see it so much?
Oh, do we think it's being sheltered from us? Is there a line of inquiry?
Yeah, like as in that. Oh, you're talking like Illuminati type of level.
Yeah, maybe like we're only hearing about Russia attacking us, like propaganda-esque. Are we hiding the attacks that us and US do against their companies? And like if we're shutting down their hospitals, for example, so we almost don't vilify our own hacking groups.
Yeah, well, while Vaughan polishes his tinfoil hat, I'm going to suggest that maybe it's more to do with the lack of free press on the Chinese and Russian side. They probably
hackers are shite.
Kind of to flip it around to say like, hey, they don't want to talk about America compromising them. That makes them look weak. Whereas West has more of a free press, so we disclose those things because ultimately, if you were to like keep in score, it kind of looks like we get pummeled on a daily basis by China and Russia and the like. We being the West, just my geographic alignment only works on a compass. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's it. So I mean, this is an interesting one. I know you guys probably. I don't think you guys have seen this one because when I mentioned it earlier, your attention was piqued. So I'll go into some detail around it, and feel free to ask me questions, and hopefully I know enough. But this was a Chinese researchers from Quanjing Technology, Red Rip's team, detailed a long-standing espionage attack by a previously unknown threat actor they've termed Night Eagle Group. So it's nice to see that the naming conventions of these things kind of are ubiquitous across the world. They report they have a history of breaching Microsoft accounts to spy on Chinese organizations of interests like chip manufacturers, AI companies, quantum technologies, read between the lines here. We always saw that kind of AI arms race with deep fake. No, sorry, it's called deep think. Sorry, deep seek. Thank you.
Yeah.
And open AI and etc. and then the chip stuff. We know about that stats because there's embargoes and allowing them to use like NVIDIA chips and whatnot. So we're seeing in the researchers have seen or they identified a dodgy DNS request to a website posing to be Synologyupdates.com. So Synology is a Taiwanese manufacturer of network storage appliances, but Synology Updates is not a registered domain of it. So basically, they were using that as their delivery, their dropper infrastructure in order to install an open source tool called Chisel. Anyone used Chisel before? It's encrypted tunnels between two computers, so useful for network penetration. They seem to have a version of it that they've adapted to basically. This is the part that they haven't detailed. Tunnel and tunnel and interact with and ultimately steal the machine key from the target exchange email server, which is an encryption key that's used to validate highly sensitive data like authentication cookies and session tokens. So they can decrypt the authentication stuff and they can log right into the exchange server, and then from there sniff. They download a file which basically then is their backdoor for looking at all of the emails and on the email server and spying on them basically. So it happens both ways. I think we detailed similar stuff like this the other way. So in the interest of fairness, I thought this was a great one to talk about. But yeah, it's what do you guys think about this? Because this was not something we really talk about historically.
First thing that comes to mind for me is it really makes me happy hearing about the names of different hacker tools. Slightly off topic, but Chisel, tunneling between two sources. I find that really interesting and a cool name. There was another one I posted in the community the other week called Truffle Hog. It's like a tool that looks and digs for secrets in like your GitHub repos and stuff, and like that idea of like a truffle hog looking. I just think it's super cool. Like the name of the hacking tool.
Reminds me of Snort with the big
pig.
Oh yeah.
The IDS network traffic analysis signature tool we should explore.
Yeah. I like that the attribution to North America is consistent during nighttime hours. There must be more than that, surely.
And the eagle.
What they're saying, because it was at night that they think it's America.
Well, that's what I've got on this article here. I don't know if they can't just be that, right?
It's at night. No one stays awake past 12 p.m. in China.
Yeah. It is always hard to do attribution with threat intelligence, but this is an interesting article because, like you say, we don't really hear of the we don't really hear hacks from the west to the east. So interesting to see that.
And maybe we should call out this is a dark reading article. I know we can't always cite our sources, but I thought this is very interesting to see them post this. There's something they said at the end caught my eye. This is talking about the overlap between like the government and the private technology sector, because I think ages ago we covered a chat log that was unleashed where the Chinese private sector companies could bid on government contracts, but espionage contracts basically. And the article says, and I quote, though the US government does not enjoy China's legal carte blanche to plant backdoors in technology developed within its borders, it has in the past tried to influence domestic companies to play ball with varying degrees of success. Now, I'm a bit cynical, and I think that the reason they don't want like Huawei in the British telecoms network, or the reason that you ban certain companies from Chinese or Russian companies from your infrastructure is because every government puts backdoors in stuff when they can, and they all know the other ones do it too. That's my cynical view on this.
No, I think I've posted videos on our Instagram talking about. I think it was when DeepSeek came about, and there was like. So I think David Bombal showed that the data was going back to China.
Oh,
I tried to repurpose it, but I couldn't get it to. It didn't return any information back to China. But I did also note that it is obviously a Chinese server. It is a Chinese company, so it's likely that it would send data back to China. But then I did see in all the comments, people were like, "Yeah, China are always trying to hack into us." But then I did reply to most of them, be like, "It is the same from every other country. They're all doing the same kind of espionage campaigns." And I think sometimes certain countries do get bashed. And I think obviously, as it's mentioned in the chat, that every country manages its own media, which makes sense. They're always going to try and benefit themselves. But I think that's one thing to note, that it's all sides. Yeah, Vaughan's putting his tinfoil hat back on. that every side is performing these type of hacking campaigns and these wars that are all fought online now, that that's always something to remember, that it is always happening on both sides.
It's that modern warfare element, right, of the countries attacking each other. On the topic of like companies putting backdoors and stuff in, obviously this is complete. I was going to say completely made up. It's not completely made up. It's on social media. It must be true. But, apparently there was a story around like I think it was Facebook Messenger, like passing chat logs of like someone that's been up to no good or passed away or something to like government enforcement agencies, and even that claims to be end-to-end encrypted, right? So I mean, if they can access that sort of stuff to pass it on, is it really end-to-end encrypted? Just to add to that point, DJ.
Well, that always reminds me of, because end-to-end encryption, you can literally, like, using the David Bombal example, like, if you try and sniff the network packets, you can kind of see if it's end-to-end. You can kind of see what encryption cipher has been used, and if it is like a perfect forward secrecy, then that normally tells you it's end-to-end encrypted. But Vaughan, we used to talk about this in the SOC when WhatsApp starts offering to back up your chats, and we were telling everyone, "Whoa, don't back up your chats, because what's the point in having end-to-end encrypted if you're then storing all the chats on the cloud somewhere?" So I often wonder if it's just that like, yes, it's end-to-end encrypted, but you also don't realize we're backing them up on locally, or you've agreed to back them up in some degree, because a lot of times they make people the deciders of their own security, but most people don't have the
understanding
the knowledge to be secure, like they want to be secure. So FortiWeb. Anyone familiar with the Fortinet products? You touched on any of them? Used them before?
Not for
a few times, but not super fluent in them.
Yeah, not for a while.
Never tell us.
The last time was when we all worked together, I think, and we were looking at network logs there. I think a lot of those were Fortinet devices, I think, and Cisco actually. Not too much.
The managed security provider, didn't we? So it's like the environments were, I think it's 4,000 customers that we used to protect at that time. So best place to learn, because there was every different type of device to protect and whatnot, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
But what's been going on with them this week?
Oh, don't act like you don't know. It's a 9.8 out of 10 severity score.
Oh,
CVSS score.
CVE?
Oh, no, the scoring is the CVSS. The CVE is the operated. Oh, wait, failed security plus there.
Oh no, I failed security plus, man. No, man.
You go back to junior role, AJ.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start over again. 9 years means nothing in cybersecurity. If you don't stay up to date, you're dead.
Or we could also say, hey, people make mistakes or whatever.
Yeah. That's
Don't defend him, Josh. Don't defend him.
Yeah, no, we do say that you don't need to know everything in cybersecurity. Always ask questions, but if you do make a mistake, your friends might make fun of you, and that's okay.
Yeah. Well, my turn to be nasty to him, or nice to him. Sorry, Vaughan. After this is the beauty of having three people. We can support each other and tear it down at the same time.
Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
Good hacker, bad hacker, I guess. Oh, sorry, go on.
FortiWeb is their web application firewall, and there has been almost 10 out of 10 vulnerability that allows for unauthenticated SQLI. SQLI, what's that, boys?
SQL injection.
Yeah, and how many of those did you do in your time in the SOC?
In the thousands. It's got to be in the thousands. No word of a lie.
Far too many.
Yeah. So they're like, so those those who don't know, SQL or SQL, depending on what you fancy, is the database query language. So that most databases use a form of SQL. There are different variances between them, but the injection is allowing you to get an SQL command to the back end where the data is stored, that then produces the data back to you. How do you stop? This is not a new exploit. There is a basic principle, so that means that it just doesn't hit the database. Who's going to buzz in on this one? How do you stop it?
Secure deserialization.
Yeah. So you shouldn't let commands get to the back end, and you can basically explain sanitization as like just adding a load of like slashes and random characters between ones that normally are commands and codes, so that it never executes it. Because machines are dumb; they see code, they just execute. They do as they're told. They don't think if they should. So this one is actually in a part of it's like the mesh that connects, the fabric connector that connects the software, so the WAF, the web application firewall, which we should explain, sits in front of websites and is literally designed to block SQL injections as well as other OWASP top 10 attacks. It's a connective tissue that then like updates the policies based on your Fortinet console, or even AWS. It has some connectors to there, it says. So it connects stuff together, and you can basically in the request header, it doesn't sanitize the cookie. And so if you put SQL code in the cookie, it gets to the back end and it runs it. Yeah, there's so many sarcastic research publications out about this. I'd recommend people go read them. I was reading Watchtower's one that's a really good deep dive and just throw shade at this whole scenario.
I'm not surprised. It's like you had one job. One job was to stop SQLI, and it's like having like a canoe made out of paper. Like your job is to go on the water. You can't be susceptible to water.
Yeah,
yeah. It's you've got armbands made of lead.
Yeah, literally.
So water wings for our US cousins. So it gets better. The SQLi floor also allows you to execute the select ... into out file command or query, which then allows you to create arbitrary files on the device. So that allows you to write a Python file into the site packages directory, and as Python works, it loads all p.path files when Python is executed. So researchers found that if they run a script to an mldraw.py Python script that is legitimate and normal, it then launches the malicious code as well and achieves remote code execution. So not only SQLi, but remote code execution through SQLi. So it's a good one, eh?
Why not 10? Why not 10? What could have been worse on this, Josh? Do you know?
That nobody uses Fortinet.
Yeah.
They're quite big. They're quite good. Lots of people use it.
Yeah.
And we should say, as much as we're making fun of this, like as we should, everyone's day will come. It's a glass house, no matter what tech you use, really, right?
Yeah, we laugh and joke about this sort of stuff, but we spoke about it previously. I'm slouched on my chair here. It's more like that dark humor, and to Josh's point, like everyone will get breached at some point. You can't like point fingers and laugh. It's like you almost need to laugh with it, otherwise you're gonna go insane.
If you don't laugh, you will have to cry.
Yeah.
As they do say.
Want to cry?
Well,
2017 ransomware bug there, guys.
Shout out.
Yeah, we'll just keep shouting out to ransomware gangs now. So
it's a simple fix, though. The update is already out. You can update your if you use it and run the update. There are some proof of concepts out there as well. So if you don't update, you're going to get exploited. But yeah, the PSA from the CyberSpace podcast. Download the FortiWeb patch from last week. This one has been out for a bit, so also check your logs, check your files, the Python files on your Fortinet appliances.
Yeah, great points. Great point.
Any more? Or are we gonna say goodbye to our audience?
I was just saying there was one thing from the M&S. We didn't mention that people have actually been arrested.
Oh yes,
July 10th. Arrested by the National Crime Agency on suspicion of blackmail, money laundering, and computer misuse offences. So yeah, that was something that has happened. They said aged 17 to 20. So I don't know if they'll go down for the crimes. Often they do get hired sometimes by these companies, but I don't know, maybe they'll want to make an example of them due to the amount of profits that were lost by a UK company. But we'll have to see what happens.
What do you reckon the youngest age of a successful hacker ever was?
Do you know?
Or like in some of these ransomware gangs, so there's like 13, 14-year-olds in there.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Especially the way that some countries have added like tech properly into curriculum. I still remember our ICT classes or IT classes when we were young, AJ, and how rubbish they were. But some countries have got really great programs. So you can imagine if you take a bit of an interest and you're kind of messing about at home with that knowledge, it's a game. It's a game to these young kids to be able to hack into something. It's the good old-fashioned defacement.
Especially if they're doing like hack the box and that sort of stuff as well. Like where they literally are gamifying it.
Yeah, that is very true. Well, it says here that the youngest hacker that was convicted was 15, but then there is an article under that says UK's youngest was 12 years old. So I don't know which one is true.
12 seems young.
But yeah, like you say, if it becomes a game, like you can imagine what we were like playing Call of Duty when we were younger. Imagine we just got really into hacking. Then you could see how you could get a little bit lost and not think that there's actual real life or real effect of what you're doing on the other side of the screen, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Like at that age, you probably don't really understand the implications of what you are doing. So if you find it fun, like you're saying, you could be costing companies lots of money.
Mm-hmm. And to take us home, then, chat are talking about. Well, someone says 9 is the youngest. So there's a lot of different ages out there, but also they're talking about, hey, maybe they're fall guys, and I think that's something we talked about before we start recording this. So yeah, I have heard arguments from both sides. Are these the kids that are just the brilliant kids, or the kids that are finding it fun or don't understand the consequences of what they're doing, or are they full guys? Are they pinned on them because I'm almost thinking how drug gangs will use teenagers to carry drugs across county lines because they're going to get a lesser sentence. Write in the comments, or if you want to write directly to us, head to www.schoolwithak.com/cybersec. You can engage with us. Let us know what you guys think, and then join in the discussion. We do this every single week, so we'll see you next week on CyberSpace.
Thanks, everyone.
Oh, almost clicked end stream there. It's not time to end stream. Any questions? I think I did see one.
Yeah, there was one in chat. I'll just grab
we're all clicking it.
How can advanced phishing attacks bypass multi-factor authentication, and what countermeasures can be used to mitigate these sophisticated threats? Does anyone want to talk about adversary in the middle? Or...
Yeah, you can carry on playing your tiny little drum set there.
End of the stream.
Yeah, I was thinking of like tools with like Okta, for example. I've seen attacks where you'll be able to reuse the session tokens from that have been captured from a user's host, and I've seen those bypassing multi-factor authentication.
So, AJ, is that where someone has already used the MFA token to log on, and they're given an authentication token, and then someone grabs that bit? So it's like
that's it. Yeah.
Post MFA exploitation, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. The act. Funny enough, I think I mentioned it to you boys last week or the week before. I know it was a separate one. We had another IR come in towards the end of last week for an adversary in the middle attack, actually. So this is very timely, Mangi Manyara. So a way that this can be done by attackers is essentially kind of like a credential harvesting almost. They send a phishing link with a fake Microsoft login page, and you have the end machine, Microsoft's login server, and pretty much a middle server that kind of hosts the fake Microsoft login page. And what happens is they see this page, which they think is the Microsoft page, so they put all their login credentials in. Then what happens in the middle one is they actually go to Microsoft and actually use those credentials to log in. That's why it's adversary in the middle. And then when the MFA is requested back, they'll send the same message to the end user. They also provide their MFA, one-time passcode or whatever. Then they use that on the Microsoft server. And that's also another way of bypassing MFA and two-factor authentication to give them pure login functionality as well. So that's something that attackers are using.
Yeah, interesting.
There's also the SMS hijacking, where people would literally socially engineer or extort people working for like mobile phone companies to do the SIM swapping.
And
that's an old one. So that's why people say SMS one can be intercepted. It's not encrypted channel as well. So like to Vaughn's point of that in the middle attack, it's not end-to-end encrypted. And there's also the they call it push bombing. So like when they bomb your authenticator app to say just say yes, just let us in, like, and sometimes people just like, oh, stop bugging me, and I'll click yes on like the
MFA fatigue, is it?
Huh?
MFA fatigue.
Yeah.
So, being like just trying to annoy them until they're like, oh, just get out my face, and they press yes.
Now it's worth mentioning that MFA is still the best defense we have against account takeover attacks, because getting your username and password is much easier than the things we've just mentioned. And also it's like you're making it exponentially harder, because you got to like, if it's 1 in 10 chance of you managing to get the username and password, and then it's a 1 in 20 chance of you managing to do an MFA exploit, you times those two together, so that's like 1 in 200, I think, is how I might be wrong, maybe 2000, but it's a much harder thing to do, is basically what I'm saying. So if you really are concerned, you have like 3 different, you have triple or quadruple factor authentication, right? Because the more things you do have in that step, the more things they have to steal. Although, AJ, I do wonder if stealing a session cookie would still get them in. With a YubiKey.
Yeah. So I've seen it bypass the YubiKey.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but then once they were in, they couldn't access other apps because the other apps required the YubiKey, but they could see there were some that didn't require that. So they were
that's the zero trust policies, right? To always continuously authenticate, re-authenticate. Just because you authenticated once doesn't mean you're allowed to the next thing. It's kind of annoying if you're a worker having to do that all the time, but that's a way to.
And also a question of like, how long can they even look to do stuff for? Because surely there's some sort of session timeout in that token as well.
Yeah, there definitely. There was. I can't remember what the time was on it, but that was something that was updated after as well. But yeah, there was mention of the YubiKey in chat. What my views on it? I think they're fantastic. I think physical
me too.
multi-factor authentication is really good. So yeah, I would recommend YubiKey using it on your accounts.
Yeah.
Talking about things on my desk, AJ, I used to have a giant YubiKey.
Giant one.
I think I put it in the bin. It was made of paper, but it was like a brochure they gave me, but it was the shape of one. Screenshot that, steal his MFA, everyone.
Yeah, you're gonna get him.
Go on, do it.
Screenshot of his
I'm going to set that for anything. It's just in my drawer.
Hacksword.
Hacksword. Oh, really nice. Well, I think that's all the questions that we've got anyway. Yeah.
Well done, everybody,
for joining us today. It's been a
everyone.
good session.
Appreciate your questions as always.
Yeah, these are every Monday now. So every Monday, 8 p.m. UK, you can come and join us for a live Q&A and live podcast. If we've got the beans and got the domes, we'll be doing a podcast as well.
If our domes are full of beans or not,
Domes are full of beans.
Josh's dome was full of beans tonight.
Yeah, you pulled it through.
I feel a lot better than I did this morning. It's been.
You just need your cyber pals, like.
Yeah. Feel like pure shit. Just want my cyber sock mates back.
Feel like shit. Just want to talk about the M&S breach.
Yeah.
Right. With that, good night, everybody.
Night, everyone. Take care. See you later.